Hello, I'm Linda from paperboutique.blogspot.com. Today we're going to be making these cute Call Me cards. I made these four originally, and then I've made several really cute business card holders, and I've had a lot of requests to do a video on how I made the cards. So most recently I did this card, and this is the card we'll be making today. What I'm going to do is go ahead and move to the computer and show you how I designed this card in Word. Then we'll get back together and I'll show you how to assemble the card. Well, let's go ahead and get started and create our business cards. But before we get started, I'd like to point out that I'm using Microsoft Word version 2010, and I'm sure version 2007 would work as well, or any other version of Word. I just wanted you to know what version we're using today. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to click on Insert, and let me click on Insert, there we go, and I'll go to Text Box, and we'll go down and we're going to draw our text box. And we're going to make a text box that's 2 inches by 3.5. Then I'm going to right click on it, and I'm going to go down to More Layout Options because we're going to size it. We'll click on Size, and then let me just take this out, and we'll type in 2.0 inches, and then I want it to be 3.5, and we got pretty close. And now it's 3.5, and we'll click OK. We're also going to want to draw a text box that we're actually going to put the text in. We just drew the outside of our business card. So I'm going to go back to Insert. We're going to do the same process. We're going to draw a smaller text box at the bottom. And what I did for this text box is I sized it at 0.58 by 3.33 inches. And we're going to right click on it again, and we're going to go to More Layout Options, the exact same thing we did. We're going to go to Size, and then here we're going to delete or backspace, and let me get the 2 out, and we're going to do 0.58 by, wow, we got really close here too, backspace by 0.33, and we're going to click OK. Then I'm going to move the text box up just a little bit. And that looks a little big. Let me just double check our measurements. Let's go back to More Layout Options and Size, and we've got 0.58, so we're good to go. I'll click OK again. Now we're going to add text, so I'm going to go to the home screen and put our cursor here. And for this particular card, I didn't want any spacing, so I'll click No Spacing. I used a Bradley hand font at 11 points, but you can do whatever you want in terms of size. You can make all sorts of adjustments. And here when I drew this text box, you could also make it 3.5 inches so it goes all the way to the edge. I just found this a little easier to use. So now we're going to go ahead and get started, and I'm just going to type the text. And at this point, I'm going to click on Insert, and I'm going to insert a symbol. Because I want a circle, then I'll go to More Symbols. And there's the circle, and I'll click Insert and hit Close. I did that a little fast, and we'll go over that again. Then I'm going to type in the title of my website, whoa, boy, it would be helpful if I could spell Paper Boutique. And then I'm going to show you again how to insert the symbol, More Symbol. Then I'm just going to click on the circle, Insert. You could copy and paste. At this point, I'm going to add a space there and a space on the other side. And then I'll just finish with the address. And then I'll hit Return. I needed a space there. Let me add a space. Hit Return. And then I'm going to type in my URL, paperboutique.blogspot.com. And then one last time. And like I said, you can cut and paste this, but I'm just showing you how to insert a symbol. And then hit Insert, and then Close, and then I'll go ahead and do my phone number. Okay, now at this point you click away and you can see how it looks, and I'm going to highlight it, go back to the home screen, and hit Center. So I've centered it, and that looks pretty good. But now if you were to print this, you would get this line around the text box. So we're going to remove that. We'll select the text box. We're going to go to Format Shape, No Fill, Line Color, No Line, and click Close. And there it is. And I think I might want that down a little bit lower on my screen. So let me just click on it, and I'm going to use the arrow to bring it down a little. And this is where you can kind of play around with it, see how you want it on your business cards. Now, if we were to copy this particular document, we couldn't because it's in two pieces, or if we moved it, we'd get two separate pieces. So what I want to do is group it. I'm going to hit the Shift key and hold the Shift key, select this text box, select this text box. I'm holding the Shift key down, go to Drawing Tools, Group, click on Group, and now you can see it's grouped. So we can move it around. Let me just show you. See? And it stays together as a group. Now what I can do, let me click on it again. I'm going to right-click, copy. I'm going to move over here and hit Control-V, which is the keyboard shortcut for paste. So now what I can do is I can copy and paste this all over the 8.5 by 11 paper or 12 by 12 paper. Then you'll go ahead and put a piece of colored cardstock in, depending on the size. If it's an 8.5 by 11, you could put an 8.5 by 11 piece of colored cardstock in your printer, and then go ahead and print this. And then you can cut around each of the edges. Now this is just one technique, and if you're making a lot of them, it might make sense to do it this way. But I like to do different colors of cardstock for my background. So let me show you one other technique. I'll go ahead and select this and delete it. Now at this point, what I do is I run a piece of printer paper through, and I use this as a template. Then I cut a piece of colored cardstock that's 2 by 3.5 inches, and I tape it over the top of this. I'll tape it right on the top here, as you can see where my arrow, small piece of removable tape on each side. There's my arrow, and at the bottom. And I'll show you more of this when we get together in just a minute. So after I do that, then I'll run it through the printer again. But if you notice, if I ran it through the printer, you'll still get this line. So what we're going to do is we'll select it, we'll right click, and we'll go to Format Object, we'll go to No Fill, Line Color, No Line Color, and Close. And as you can see now, when you run it through the printer, you won't get that line. This will make a little bit more sense when we get back together, and I'll show you how to assemble the card. Well, why don't we do that now, and we'll get back together in a moment and assemble the card. Well, let's go ahead and assemble the cards now. Let me show you what we just designed on the computer. This is the sample of where we made this text box, then we made the internal text box, grouped them, and then copied them. So if you wanted to do, and you could copy a full page of these, if you wanted to do more than one with the same background color, for example, if you wanted to make several with this pink, you could just run a piece of pink cardstock and this through your printer, and then you could just go ahead and cut out on the lines. Well, the other technique, which I use most frequently, because you can see I'm using different paper, and you can also use double-sided paper. I wanted to point that out. I'm always using a different color base, and this was the technique that we talked about, that you would run it through. Let me move these out of the way so we can concentrate on that. You would run it through the computer, there's your template underneath, and then you would tape it in 4 spots using, this is a removable masking tape. You could use any type of tape as long as you help to remove some of the stickiness by putting it against a piece of clothing, and then you just tape it down. And I always do an arrow as to which way I insert the paper in the printer, and then I went ahead and just did this. Next, in order to make this business card, what I did is I obviously removed it, but I'm not going to take your time to do that. And then I cut a piece of cardstock that's 3.5 inches wide by 1 7/16 inches deep, or 1 7/16 is just 1/16 away from 1.5 inch. So just depends on what you like. And you can modify the text size, you can modify this Next, I went ahead and just used some glue, my tape runner. Let me get that out. My tape runner to attach it. And then the next step, I went ahead and used my corner rounder, and I love my Crocodile corner chomper, and all I did was use the 1/4 of an inch, and it just opens like this, put it down, and it cuts through, oh, I think it'll probably cut through 4 or 5 layers. It's amazing, and it will cut through chipboard as well. So then I did that, and next what I did is I cut a very narrow strip of paper, and it is it's an 1/8 of an inch by 3.5 inches, but I made it just a little bit longer. And then what I did is I glued it down using my favorite tool, and let me show you a couple of my favorite tools. This is a 2-way glue stick. The glue is blue when it's wet but turns clear when it's dry, and if you let it dry clear you can reposition it. I like this particular tip for doing a little larger. This is a pretty fine piece of paper, so what I like to use is the Zig 2-way glue. It's called a squeeze and roll. You can see the glue, and it's just a pen. It's so fine, and this is what I use on a lot of my Cricut cuts, anything that's very intricate, because you can get a very, very fine bead of glue, and you let it dry, and then it's repositionable, and then you put it down, and it will still, the adhesive is great. So I added the strip, and then what I did to this particular card is I just added a few of the rhinestones to the center of the flower. Let me bring in some of the others, and this particular one was done with basic gray, and this is not, you don't have to add the strip, this is just part of the paper, and this is on double-sided cardstock, and this doesn't have a strip in the center. This one doesn't either, and it's just on solid cardstock. And then we have this one too. So they're super easy and super fun. And also check out my YouTube channel for more videos. I have one on how to make I have a couple of them on how to make business card holders for these. Well, I would like to thank you for watching, and please visit my blog at www.paperboutique.blogspot.com for more projects and ideas. Bye-bye.